we do have the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, one of the sharks on ABC Shark Tank, and all-around entrepreneur, Mark Cuban, joining us now on Scal Pals. Mark, what's going on, man? Thanks for hopping on today.
Thanks for having me.
We got to start with this. What are you doing? So obviously, you know, everyone's off, everyone's sticking at home. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy, Mark?
A lot of interviews, a lot of emails, a lot of forced family fun with the Cuban family. Trying to get my workouts in on Peloton and shooting some buckets with my kids. Just whatever I can. It's you know, it's different, and so we're just trying to adjust.
With all the things that you had to give up, what do you miss the most right now?
Mavs games.
Yeah, no doubt.
The NBA. That's just, you know, there's an intensity to it, man. It's actually the most stressful thing in my life is, you know, every game, win or lose. So, you know, it's just, I miss that juice, you know, and getting excited about it.
Mark, what's the contact been like with coaches and players right now? Are you communicating with Luka and Porzingis and guys daily? Coach Rick Carlisle, what's that been like for you?
Oh man, so we have a group chat, and so everybody's, you know, saying they're doing their things. So I'm gonna tell you something that nobody else knows. So we've been doing these little pranks. So Maxi Kleba, one of our guys, right, has this living girlfriend that's great lady, right? And so they've been dating long enough where the question's going back and forth, right? So we sent him a congratulations cake, and he still doesn't know who it came from. Congratulations to the two of you. Hope your lives together are great, that type of thing, just to put the pressure on him and mess with him. And so, you know, just stupid stuff like that, just to pass the time.
Hey, Mark, lead us into, I don't know, 2 weeks before they put the season on postponement, and then like even recently, do you guys have owners meetings? Do you guys have to like check in? Do you guys have a group text that's going around? Like, what are we going to do with this season?
No, it's really up to Adam. I mean, you know, the season's going to come down to what the doctors and the specialists and the experts say. You know, it's not really an NBA decision at all, because this is so much bigger than basketball. It's, you know, what's the state of the world? Because you can't risk anybody's health. You can't risk the players. You can't risk staff. You can't risk the organization. You can't risk fans, your customers, your partners. It all comes down to safety first. And I think that drives everything. Prior to that last game, you know, there was the discussion going on, and everybody was just trying to make the best decisions they could with imperfect information. And then obviously everything changed that night of our game.
Mark, obviously everyone got really excited when you kind of called out and said mid-May is the target date, right? I know that you had sent out a tweet this morning sort of clarifying that it's really up to the experts, but that you were optimistic that mid-May was your goal. Are you in the camp of that the NBA needs to absolutely finish this season no matter what, or is there like a drop dead date where it just cannot be finished and they have to start a new season?
I'm neither. First, like I just said, safety first, right? You know, and even when I've said I'm optimistic about mid-May, I've always qualified it by saying, you know what, we can't risk the safety of anybody involved. But I think the NBA has got a responsibility, because sports is so important to everybody. You know, we need sports. We haven't gotten it now for a couple of weeks, and the whole country needs something to root for, something to cheer for, something to get excited about. And so I think the NBA and Adam really will be at the forefront of trying to figure it out. And my hope is, and I'm just speculating, I don't have any data that no one else does, but my hope is that it'll happen. We'll get a first exhibition game or first game prior to June 1st. But in terms of, do we have to finish out the season? No, I mean, the country and the world comes first, you know. I'm a big believer in Corona karma. You know, you don't do something that's going to mess up everybody, and you try to do the right thing. But the right thing also says that if we can do it safely and give people who are quarantined something to root for and something to cheer for, that's also a good thing too. But again, everything's qualified by what will doctors say and what will keep everybody safe.
Now, Mark, you've won a championship, bought a team. You've done a lot of successful things, but right away, as soon as this thing happened,
Scout, they let you keep one of these at the house?
No, is that the replica?
No, that's the real deal.
That's the real deal? Nah.
That's the real deal.
They still, Mark, when you're the 12th man, they make you put gloves on when you touch it. Speaking of Corona karma, right away after the idea that there's going to be a postponement, you come out on the podium and say, hey, we're going to take care of our arena workers. And you've seen what's happened since then. Players have donated a bunch of money. You know, different owners have stepped up. Like, of all the things you've done, that has to feel pretty good that you were like on the forefront of that.
I mean, to me, it was just doing the right thing. And I don't think people were following my lead. I think they, we've got good people in the NBA. We've got people with a lot of big hearts. I think they would have done it anyways. But yeah, I mean, it was, I felt good about it because it was the right thing to do. And obviously I've had a lot of the workers thank me, and, because it's a horrible time right now. Millions of people have lost their jobs in the last 2 weeks and don't know where their next paycheck's coming from, don't know how they're going to feed their families, and their kids are home, and there's no place to go find that job. It's stressful right now. And so, we're trying to do as an organization, and me personally, trying to do all we can to help as many people as we can. But yeah, I mean, it was just the right thing to do. And that's what we try to do to drive the organization.
Mark, social media kind of got worked up over the Sixers situation of, potentially cutting salaries of team employees by 20%. There was a big social media backlash. They kind of did a 180 on that as well. Have you been in communications with other owners? Like, is there sort of a protocol, or is it basically every team handles this whatever way they see fit?
Yeah, honestly, I have not spoken to another owner since all this went down. Not a single one. And we get memos from the NBA, every other day with updates on things that can and can't happen, those types of things. But every owner is in a different set of circumstances. Some have ownership groups that they have to deal with. It's just not a singular owner that makes the decision. I have partners, but it's all my decision. Contractually, that's the way it works. They're all small minority partners. And so I can make decisions differently. And so I'm not gonna second guess anybody, whether it's the Sixers or any other team. Everybody's got to make their own decision.
I'd like for you to put on your business hat. So obviously this is a tough time. How do you suggest that the economy gets back on track during this time? And would you think that we could, in 2 years from now, come out of this better than we went in?
Yeah, a couple things there, Scal. One, pay attention to what's happening in Washington, because they just passed some legislation that will get money into people's hands. Supposedly it's going to be a $1,200 check. If you make $75,000 or less, you'll get $1,200. Your wife or whoever else will get $1,200, and you can also get some money for your kids. But that's going to take a few weeks to get. So I'm guessing there's going to be banks that are going to be offering special deals, or even apps that offer special deals where you can get advances on that. I'd look into those, but be very careful, because there's going to be a lot of scam artists trying to take advantage as well. But I think that's a good idea. I think, like I just said, people are terrified right now and don't have a sense of control if they've lost their jobs. And so getting that $1,200 per person into people's hands who need it, I think will go a long way towards giving them a sense of control. But 3 weeks is what they're saying it'll take, and that's too long to wait. So talk to your bank, look out for the apps, but be careful you don't get scammed. So that's one. On two, small businesses, again, there was legislation passed early this morning, late last night, that for companies under 500 employees, you can go out and basically borrow money for your payroll, rent, and some overhead, and it'll cover the average amount of your payroll, excluding people making over 100K, for at least 3 months. Every small business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a CEO of a little company, talk to your bank right now. Go apply for this loan. It's going to be different than former Small Business Administration loans. This is a whole new program. So if you dealt with the SBA and they were pain in the butt, this is not the same thing. So get up to speed on this. Go apply. I think it's really good for small business. I think it's really good for the economy. So those are things that are happening that are good. So put that in one bucket, and how to get help. How to really get ahead. Every company I've ever run, big or small, there's always been times when I said, if only I had a little bit of extra time to redo this, or reevaluate that, or reset this, the podcast, how can we improve the podcast? Now you've got the time to work on those things. So you want to take that time to make your company better. I think the best skill you can have right now is being a great communicator. You can't go visit somebody, but you can call them, send them an email, Skype with them, Zoom with them, whatever it may be, and tell them, here's where I stand. Where are you at? Because everybody's stressed. Yeah. And when everybody's stressed, that is an opportunity for you to be the person that says, you know what, let's do this together. Let's get through this together. And then third, whenever life is FUBAR, there's always heroes. There's heroes that emerge. There are going to be companies that come out of this that are just extraordinary, that are companies we look back at in 10 years and say, oh my God, it just changed the world. Now the question becomes, what are they going to be and who are they going to be? If you have a vision for what life after all this will look like, you know, follow through in that vision if you can. You know, before there was streaming, it was like, well, look, the internet is going to be used for a lot more than just text and data. And so we started a streaming company before everybody else. You know, digital movies, there's always an opportunity somewhere when things are upside down. And so anybody out there that has that vision, and it's not about raising money. It's not like, hey, Scal, hey, Mark, hey, guys, you know, give me money, then I can do it. There's always ways to figure it out using sweat equity. So, you know, that's what I tell people. There's a way. And look, finally, you know, I know I'm ranting, but the final part of it is there's no country I'd rather live in during these circumstances. You know, the American dream is alive and well. You know, we have, what makes our country different than every other country is that we're a country of entrepreneurs. We're a company of people who are creative and believe that you can create new things out of change. We'll get out of this by people just being creative. This is where capitalism will shine, and hopefully it'll be, you know, compassionate capitalism where people have a heart and really go out there and make things better for everybody. So even as hard as this is for everybody, as horrible as it is for many, I'm optimistic that in this country in particular, we'll find ways to make things better.
That's really well said. And, you know, obviously, as you said, the important part is keeping everyone safe and getting through this as a country. But I want to ask you about, you obviously have to look at the financial impact of what this is going to have on your team in the NBA. What are some of the main issues that you see in the future if there are so many missed games and missed playoffs? Like, have there been things that you have sort of looked at and said, hey, we're going to have to prepare for a much different look in the NBA in the future?
I haven't really looked at that part of it. You know, you can't really look at the economics of it before you have any basis of fact. You know, how many games we're going to play. Like, you can plan for the worst and hope for the best. And if there's no more revenue coming in for any NBA team, it's going to be painful. We're all going to lose a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars per team. You know, how much that number is actually going to turn out to be, I don't know. But again, like I said earlier, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to at least do some things in front of fans or without fans initially. And because there's nothing else going on and America's just craving something to get behind, if we can do that, again, all, you know, build upon the fact that it has to be safe first. If we can do that, the response is going to be through the roof. You know, being able to watch that first game, you know, everybody and their brother is going to watch because it'll be a Super Bowl type event because we'll all be at home. We'll have nothing else to do. We'll all have something to cheer for. It'll be amazing, right? And so just knowing that we could potentially get there, I think gives all the teams and owners hope, all the fans, all the players hope as well.
So initially you said, hey, this is ultimately going to be Adam's decision, but obviously you have a ton of great ideas. How exactly does that work? Do you get a platform to talk to Adam or talk to the other owners about great ways to come out of this?
Adam's wide open. He'll talk to any owner about anything. I mean, he's a great listener. You know, he's got a great feel for what's going on and balancing the interest of all the different owners. Obviously, I'm usually one of the more aggressive owners, and there's some that are a little bit older and laid back. And Adam balances us all out. But yeah, I can tell him anything, right? I can let him know anything I'm thinking about, and he'll always listen, and that's good. And we'll have a conversation, and he'll tell me if he agrees or disagrees and why, and we'll go from there. The challenge, Scal, is everything. We only have imperfect information.
Sure. Right.
We don't really have any facts right now. We can speculate, and I can, you know, try to be optimistic and say before June 1st, but I'm guessing, right? Yeah. And so is everybody else. And so what'll happen is every day you'll hope that there'll be something new that comes out that helps us get a little bit smarter, helps us deal with this issue. And then we'll get to the point where the scientists and the doctors are saying, you know what, here's what will work. Here's what you can do so that the pandemic won't get worse, so that people won't be put at risk. And once we get to that point, then we can start having better conversations among the owners and with Adam and start making some decisions and giving dates. Right now, it's just hope tos, want tos, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Sure.
Mark, you were obviously outspoken, both for the White House and even the other side and the Democrats about getting some of these things done and doing it faster, our preparedness for this whole thing. Have you caught any blowback from that? Because I know there's been this huge petition now on Twitter of like you potentially running for president. People love that you are the guy that's trying to just get things done and put all the other issues aside. Has anybody reached out to you? Has there been any blowback from that? What's been the response? Because it's on Twitter, everybody seems to love you.
Yeah, it's been 99% positive. I mean, since most people go to Twitter to look for responses, you're never going to get 100% positive on Twitter, no matter what. I could say I'm giving $1 million to every human being on the planet, and someone said, "Nah, you're just trying to do whatever," right? But yeah, the response has been positive. Look, I'm in a unique position. I have a platform. I don't need more money, right? I mean, I just don't need to worry about making money. And I've been through enough now where I have, the benefit of some experience. And so if people like what I'm saying, great, but I think I have an advantage where I can rip anybody and everybody and not give a shit what they think about me or what they say, and I think people are starting to respect that.
Okay. So then you kind of ducked the one question. Like, we've heard Mark Cuban for president somewhere down the road. Is that like, why would you want to do that, first of all? And,
exactly.
but I mean, where do you stand with that?
I actually would have done it this time around if my family had not voted it down. It's not that I'm dying to be president. I'm not, but I just look at the options, and I see politicians running for office, and I just thought I could do a better job. But my family is still more important. My kids are 10, 13, and 16, and that's too good an age and too important an age to mess with. And so I've got enough time that if it's still important to me next time around, I can look at it again.
Would you miss the Mav game?
No, I'd still be watching. There'd be no cabinet meetings, no anything when Mavs are playing. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's still a long shot.
Sure.
All right, leaving the door open there. I want to get you out on this, Mark. One question, because we do want to talk hoops with you, obviously, and you're a big hoops head. I want to ask you about Luka, because obviously you take him with a third pick. You trade up a couple of years ago, and so you saw something there. You saw something obviously special. When there were other scouts and people and teams that had their doubts. When did you know? When did you know seeing Luka? Was it in person? Was there an exact moment where you're like, wow, this guy, something's different about this guy. This guy could be a generational talent.
I mean, when you're 16, 17 years old and you're winning the MVP in Europe, and, you've got guys who have been in the NBA deferring to you. You're playing with Rudy Fernandez, who was really good in the NBA, and he's deferring to a 17-year-old kid, and just Anthony Randolph, etc. These guys are giving the ball and saying, okay, lead us. Sergio Llull, their best player, goes down, and Luka steps in, and they go on to win a championship. And it's not like he just happened to fill in minutes, right? He wasn't just fill minutes. The ball was in his hands every possession. That's extraordinary. I mean, the guy is he's just got it, right? When the ball is in his hands, he's so confident, and he knows how to play. He's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. That's when we knew.
From a business standpoint, real quick, what was the biggest challenge you overcame, just starting out, not necessarily now?
You talking about me personally or with the Mavs, or?
No, that's like probably before the Mavs, like just from building a business and some of the
when I first got started?
Yeah.
I mean, I came to Dallas. I lived 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment. I was sleeping on the floor. I mean, my roommate, I remember we had 6 guys, and one of the guys, Dave O'Brien, Dobie, the way we used to pay our rent, Scal, we'd all write the checks to one guy, right? And then the one guy would turn it into the landlord. One day the landlord calls us, "Where's the rent check?" Our guy Dobie took off with our $750 in rent, and we had to make it up. I mean, I just tried to make it work, right? And then I got a job. I worked as a bartender. Then I got a job selling software, and I had a deal where I was going to make this big commission so I can move out of the dump. We called it the Hill Hotel, the shithole. And I would get a commission, and I went to my boss, and one of my jobs was to open the store. It was a software store. So I had to sweep the floor, wipe down the windows, and unlock the doors. And I went to my boss. I got to pick up this check. It's $15,000 sale. I'm making $1,500, and my boss goes, "No, you need to open the store." I made the executive decision to go pick up the check, thinking when I handed him the check, he thanked me, he fired me. And so when I got started, I had nothing. I had no money, nothing. So I went to one of my customers, a company called Architectural Lighting, saying, "Look, I have nothing. I'm broke. I literally don't know what I'm going to do next. I mean, my friends are trying to convince me to go on unemployment. I'm like, I can't do that. I'll bartend first. And then I went to this company. I said, if you advance me the money, $500 for me to buy the software for you and install it, I'll make it work. And if I don't, I'll walk your dog, wash your car, whatever it takes to make it up for you if it doesn't work. Made it work. They sent me to another customer who sent me to another customer. You know, a few months later, I was moving out of the 6 guys in 3-bedroom apartment to only 3 roommates, and then build up that company from there. It was a company called Micro Solutions. Went 7 years without a vacation, and then sold that company right when I turned 30, and made a couple $1 million off of it. This was way back when, and retired. I bought a lifetime pass on American Airlines, and my only job in life at that point in time was to travel the world and party with as many human beings as I possibly could. Just live like a rock star, and I got really good at it. And I'll tell you a quick story. This is back in '92 during the Olympics, right? And so a buddy of mine called me up and said, look, you got this lifetime pass in American Airlines that you bought, and we could just get on a plane and go to Barcelona. Let's go, and we'll see if we can get into the game. So we literally just got on a plane the next day, went to Barcelona, and we thought we were being slick, scalping tickets to the Dream Team to watch them play. Well, it turns out we bought fake tickets. And so we got in the door, we're sitting down, getting ready to watch Charles and Michael and everybody, and just think this is the best thing ever. I think it was Lithuania or Yugoslavia, I forget. And then we get kicked out, but they were nice, and they found other seats for us and got to watch the Dream Team. And so I went in a period of a long time, I guess, but I went 7 years without a vacation, sold my company, bought a lifetime pass on American Airlines, bam, was watching the Dream Team. That's how I got started.
Wow.
I know, it's just so earth-shattering, everybody is just silent.
It's that amazing of a story, Mark. What can we say? Hey, we appreciate you giving us some time today. Obviously, we wish you and your family well. We'd love to talk to you again and when better times.
Anytime, guys.
And we're hoping that your mid-May prediction could come true.
I hope so too.
So
hey, Scal Pals is Scal amazing.
That's right.
I can't believe you have the real trophy at your desk. I mean,
say hello to my little friend. Reminds me every day. Every day I wake up and I come into this office and this is what I see.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Mark, we really appreciate it, man.
Anytime, Scal. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. See ya.
All right, guys.